Hey guys, it's Simeon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 20th of January 2019 to talk about everything that went down tonight on Monday Night Raw. You know, as far as the show overall goes, I thought there was a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but a lot more ups than there were downs this week. I thought, in my opinion, it was a better show than most weeks. The show, Raw itself, has been on the up and up, not just in the ratings, but the show itself, and I think it's been pretty good, like I said, and this week again was pretty good. So I really don't have too much bad to say. Tony Brown says the last two matches sucked. Please, Matt Hardy, AEW. Please, we'll see how that goes. I think he's on his way out. That's why he's been doing the losing, and we'll see how that ends up. But with that, let's see who's here with us in the live chat as we let more of you guys jump in. We do have Derek Bocek, Glenn Hunt, Woken King Slender, Henry Cavallo, Elliot Walker, Wayne Montgomery. We got Teddy, I'm going to butcher this name, Wilhite. I think I said that right. Nelson, John Elite 45, and so many more of you. It's good to see all you guys here tonight to talk about Monday Night Raw. 1 second to change something, guys. Then we'll be good to go. Awesome. All right. So as far as tonight's Monday Night Raw goes, before we get started, if you do want to call, I said call, or text in your thoughts, you could do so at 510-906-1341. I will actually be taking some calls tonight as far as hearing what you guys have to say. The calls will start after we get the regular review finished, and then we'll go from there. But you guys can text it at any time. I'll periodically check that stuff out. And yeah, tonight's Monday Night Raw started off with Seth Rollins and the AOP and Buddy Murphy all coming out to the ring. Rollins wore a leather jacket over his new Monday Night Messiah t-shirt. Rollins said the fans have all played a part in making him the man he is today. He said he thanked them for showing him the faith. They booed him, of course. Rollins thanked Murphy for opening his eyes, being brave and standing tall in joining the right side of history. Rollins showed us a video package recapping last week's angle, then officially introducing us to his newest disciple, Buddy Murphy. They hugged, and the crowd booed. Owens and Joe. Well, actually, I skipped the line, paragraph here, actually. Okay, here we go. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Because Seth Rollins said Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and Big Show failed last week. He called this his finest hour. He said it was time for the locker room to pick sides because the battle lines have been drawn and everybody was either with him or against him. Then Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens would come out and interrupt. They entered separately. Doesn't really matter. I wrote it down anyways. Owens understood why they were proud of themselves for taking out the Big Show. However, he knew that Show would be back to get his revenge eventually. He said they've got a bigger problem. They had to get rid of Seth Rollins and his buddies. Owens thought that the fans were tired, as he was, of hearing Rollins' voice and wanted to fight. Rollins said fighting was a good idea, but there's 4 of us and only 2 of you. Joe said he was calling himself a messiah, but wasn't a lawyered up asshat. Crowd chanted for Joe. Joe then told Rollins that he had issues listening. They wanted to fight, but they weren't the only ones who wanted to fight, as out would come the Viking Raiders. The 4 men marched down to the ring to clean house. Owens gave Akam a stunner. Joe gave Murphy a Uranagi. The good guys posed as the crowd cheered. This was a fine opening segment. I thought it accomplished a number of things, to be honest. And so after the commercial break, Charlie Caruso met up with Seth Rollins in the back. He said that he wasn't surprised that Joe and Owens came out, that they had backup. He said that they hid behind those guys from the Netherlands. What? Rollins then had a scoop. He said that him and Murphy challenging for the tag titles later on tonight. Talking about title matches, we had an almost 20-minute ladder match between between Rey Mysterio and Andrade with the U.S. title on the line. This match was fucking fun and awesome. They both immediately slipped out of the ring to grab ladders. However, Mysterio was actually baiting Andrade and instead dropkicked Andrade's ladder into him. Andrade fought him off and drove him into the barricade. This led to a scary spot where Mysterio used a top rope Hurricane Rana to flip Andrade onto a ladder. Andrade was probably supposed to land on the ladder on his back, but instead he hit the back of his head and neck. Kind of like we saw back at TLC, there was a spot when, I think it was Scott Dawson was taking a spot off the ropes onto the ladder, supposed to land on the ladder, and barely landed on that ladder, hitting his shoulder and back of his head. So, second time we've seen this kind of spot goofed. Maybe they should stop. They then went to break after this spot, which was less than 2 minutes into the match. After the break, Mysterio hit a springboard seated senton from the top to the outside. Mysterio launched Andrade into a ladder in the corner, then set up a tall ladder to climb. Andrade cut him off and hit a triple vertical suplex, with the last one planting Mysterio on a ladder. Andrade later powerbombed Mysterio onto an elevated ladder, and they went to break again about 10 minutes into the match. After the break, Mysterio sent Andrade to the outside and began climbing, but Andrade caught him. Andrade set up a gory bomb off the ladder onto another ladder, but Mysterio countered it into a sunset flip powerbomb, sending Andrade into the ladder instead. This wasn't exactly a smooth looking spot, but hey, crowd loved it, and I thought it was cool as well. Mysterio then followed up the 619, and the crowd started going absolutely nuts, hoping Rey was about to win the match. Mysterio did climb up the ladder, did grab for the belt, but Andrade yanked the ladder out from under him before he could pull it down. Mysterio was hanging in the air. Andrade pulled him down and tried to powerbomb Mysterio, but Mysterio countered. Again, they didn't really pull the spot off 100%, but because the way the pacing was, I kind of forgave that. It's a ladder match. Everything doesn't have to look 100% smooth. I actually prefer when things in ladder matches don't look 100% smooth, because that gives it more of a realness to it, in my opinion. It makes you feel like, oh crap, anything can happen. It's not all perfect and rainbows and scripted out spots. They're trying stuff. It may not have worked right, but hey, they're going for it. And that's what I like in these kinds of matches. I don't like when they feel heavily scripted, heavily planned, and heavily practiced. Mysterio, like I said, was hanging from there, and Andrade tried to pull him down with the powerbomb. Mysterio sent Andrade to the outside and went to climb the ladder yet again, but Vega climbed to the top first to stop him. Vega then slapped Mysterio. Then Andrade gave him a hammerlock DDT, breaking the ladder they were standing on. Andrade climbed up, grabbed the belt, and won. Again, I like this match a lot. I like this match an awful lot. Andrade retains the championship. Mysterio looks good in defeat. Both men looked great going 18 and a half minutes or so. Fun all around. So after the match, Vega exposed the concrete, pulling up the mats on the outside. Andrade set up for a DDT on Mysterio when all of a sudden Zelina was like, look, behind you. And who would be there? A man in a Mysterio mask. And I was fooled, because my first thought was, Dominic? And he pulls off the mask, and no, it wasn't Dominic. It was a returning Humberto Carrillo. Humberto Carrillo comes back, saves Rey Mysterio runs off Andrade, and there we go. So here's my one, what's the word I'm looking for? Here's something I hope is not what the plan is. So Andrade's the U.S. champion. He beat Rey at MSG. He successfully defended it twice. I hope that he holds it for a little while, and the plan wasn't just, okay, how do we get the title on Humberto? Oh, well, a heel needs to win it. Oh, well, how about Andrade, and then he can lose it to Humberto. I feel like that may be the direction, and I hope it's not, because I want to see Andrade with a decent length title run, to be completely honest. I think he's a great heel champion. With Zelina in his corner, it can drag this thing out as far as she keeps helping him. And I get it. Humberto's great. He should win the title eventually. But if I'm predicting or fantasy booking, I would at least want to see Andrade hold the title till Mania. If he drops the U.S. title to Humberto at Mania, then I wouldn't be too upset by that. I wouldn't think that was too soon. But I do think that Humberto, there's a good chance he takes that title from Andrade. So they then aired a video package tributing Vince McMahon's hero, Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah. Vince McMahon's hero. He sent out a tweet. Vince tweeted out this same video earlier in the day with simply the caption, "My hero." So after this, we got an 8-second match. Aleister Black stood in the corner. His opponent charged at him. I didn't even get the guy's name. His opponent charged at him as the bell rang. Black hit him with the black mass immediately, pinned him. 8 seconds from bell to bell. From when the first bell rang, ding, 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 to when the 3 count hit and the second bell rang, ding, ding, ding. 8 seconds. It's cool that Aleister Black is protected as much as he is. But my question is, where is this leading to? Is this leading to him challenging for the U.S. title? Is this leading to him getting some sort of a major push? Yeah, or he's getting some sort of a mediocre push. But if you really look at it, how many times did he beat Buddy Murphy? And Buddy Murphy's now the one half of the Raw Tag Team Champions. Yeah, that happened. So I just hope that they've got a plan for Aleister, and it's not like, we like him, the fans like him, let's keep him strong by winning a bunch of matches, but we don't really know what we're going to do with him yet. That's my one fear. So we then saw Drew McIntyre backstage warming up for his match later tonight against Randy Orton. Also the Viking Raiders getting ready for their match. It was made official. And out would come the WWE Champion, Brock Lesnar. Remember, guys, if you do want to give me your thoughts on tonight's show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. We'll be taking your calls after we finish the actual review. Got a couple text messages. We'll get to them in a moment. So Heyman comes out with Brock. Heyman said that he was having a crisis of consciousness because the fans took Lesnar for granted. Heyman would announce a spoiler, and Lesnar would deliver. He then asked the fans, why do you always boo us? Why do you always boo Brock? Brock only does what he says he's going to do. He said that at the Royal Rumble, Brock is going to defeat 29 other men. He then explained that the rules of the Rumble match before saying that Lesnar would win. He noted that the winner of the Rumble normally earns a shot against the champion at WrestleMania in the main event. However, Heyman said that Lesnar didn't believe that anybody actually deserved it this year. He admonished the fans for booing again and wondered who thought that they were a worthy challenger. And out would come Ricochet. Now, at one point, there was talks of Ricochet challenging Brock for the championship at Royal Rumble to give Brock a victory, and they felt that Ricochet would look good in defeat because Brock always has great matches with smaller, faster guys like a Daniel Bryan, like a AJ Styles, like a Rey Mysterio, like a Ricochet. That plan was nixed. Brock was put into the Rumble. Ricochet came out tonight. Those two could have had a great match. Brock wasn't going to wrestle on Raw. And we got what we got. So Ricochet said that Heyman talks too much. I guess that's the new thing that people are going to start doing, because Truth said it last week too. He noted that whispers and concerns going around to the back. Some guys were afraid to get in the ring with Lesnar, but Ricochet said that he takes risks and he wasn't afraid. Heyman said that Ricochet must have received his education in Wichita. Fans in Wichita booed. Heyman called Ricochet lunch meat for Lesnar and advised him go to the back. Ricochet said the Rumble may be his only shot. He knew what normally happens to guys when they step to Brock, but he wasn't afraid to step to him. Lesnar then invited him to come in and get in the ring. Ricochet took a deep breath and came on down. Ricochet then said, "Brock, let's have a match right here, right now." Lesnar laughed, brushed him off, and walked out of the ring. Ricochet then grabbed Ricochet on the mic, then said, "Oh, Brock, are you scared?" I think that line was supposed to get a pop from the crowd, but it didn't, because the way that Ricochet said it and the pause was like he was waiting for a reaction. Anyways, Lesnar came back into the ring, kicked Ricochet in the nuts. Brock grabbed the mic and said, "Not scared," and left. Ricochet remained down, selling his groin as we sent it to the back. Not a bad segment. I thought it was all right. Charlie Caruso then interviewed Randy Orton. She said, "What do you think of people saying that your opponent tonight, Drew McIntyre, is on your level as far as being a favorite to win the Royal Rumble?" And Orton said that McIntyre was one hell of a guy and one hell of a talent, but he was not on par with him. He's a guy that can strike with the 3 most dangerous letters in all of sports entertainment. And that match was next. It was Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. Got a couple text messages here I want to read before we go forward. This person says, this person's asking what they could expect from SmackDown this week, as they're going to be at SmackDown, and really don't know too much for SmackDown this week, to be honest. Sorry, bud. And this last text message here says, would it be too much if creative took the name Messiah serious enough to give Rollins 12 disciples? I haven't thought of it like that, but probably not. I don't see him in like a NWO corporation-sized group. I don't see that. I see the 4 that they have now, maybe at a 5th, but no more than that. I don't think there's going to be 13 guys here. Because if you go with your logic of, if Rollins is the Messiah and he's got 12 disciples, that would have to be 13 guys altogether. That's just a little too much. But we got Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. This match went about 12 minutes. McIntyre chopped Orton, and Orton sold it big. The whole thing is Orton doesn't like chops. And so McIntyre hits Orton with just this most vicious chop. Like this chop echoed inside that building. And Orton's sitting there in the corner like this, and he just looks at the camera. Like he knows where there's a camera, so he looks down and he just goes. And he sits there for a good minute and a half. But Orton then proceeded to clothesline him out of the ring before giving him 2 straight backdrops onto the barricade. McIntyre fought out of another backdrop attempt and tried the Claymore kick, but Orton moved and McIntyre killed a production guy. Very funny. Lawler was concerned as officials ran down to check on the guy. We then go to commercial break, and after the break, McIntyre tried something off the top, but Orton caught him with a drop kick. McIntyre responded soon after this with 3 straight chops. Orton just poked him in the eyes. He got a laugh out of the crowd. Orton then followed this up with a draping DDT. Excuse me. McIntyre blocked an RKO attempt and hit a headbutt, followed by an overhead belly-to-belly suplex for a 2. McIntyre used a vertical suplex and then kipped up onto his feet. McIntyre did the 3-2-1 countdown to a Claymore kick, but Orton countered into a power slam for a near fall. Orton then hit a suplex and rolled to the outside. At that exact moment, AJ Styles and the OC would run down and attack McIntyre. They put the boots to him before Orton would jump in with a chair and clean house. McIntyre gave Carl Anderson a claymore, then the rest of the OC bailed. McIntyre and Orton faced off as Orton still had the chair in his hands. Orton dropped the chair and looked like he was about to leave the ring. Instead, he turns around. Well, not really turns around. He just backs up and hits McIntyre with an RKO. McIntyre was so close, it looked more like a stunner. So McIntyre's down and out. McIntyre's just dying. He's like, after taking that RKO. And he asks for a mic, and I guess the mic didn't work or whatever. And he goes, Randall Keith Orton, can somebody give me a mic that works? They gave him another mic. And he said that he hopes that the two of them are in the ring at the same time this Sunday in the Royal Rumble. Because he's not going to strike out of nowhere. Orton's going to know what's coming when he hits him with a Claymore kick. I thought that was a good line of, I don't have to get you out of nowhere. I don't have to, I guess it's more like I don't have to sneak attack. You know when I'm coming and I'm still going to hit you. So I liked that line because Orton's whole thing is out of nowhere. Sneak attack from behind when you're least expecting it. But with McIntyre, he's so confident in his abilities that he's just like, you're going to see me coming and there's nothing you can do about it, buddy. So in the back, Charlie Caruso interviewed Charlotte Flair. She said that she eliminated the most women last year and was the runner-up in the Women's Royal Rumble. Charlotte said that she was ready to face anybody and anything. Becky Lynch suddenly appeared beside her with a big old smirk on her face, then just left without saying anything. Kind of random and odd. Charlotte said that she was eliminated last year by Lynch, who wasn't even supposed to be in the match. Charlotte said that she'd be prepared this year and wondered if the other 29 women would be ready for the Queen. We then see Becky Lynch come down to the ring as she has a match next with Kyrie Sain. So there was some sort of a mix-up here. So they played a recap of last week's segment where Asuka misted Becky in the face. And while this is going on, you hear Becky in the background go, "The man has come to play in Kansas." And the segment just keeps rolling on. So what I think happened was they played it up on the big screen. Becky wasn't looking at the big screen. She just thought, all right, we're back. My cue. I'm going. And then she stops. Video package stops. Come back to Becky in the ring. She kind of gets her wits about it. And then she goes, "The man has come around in Kansas." And then goes on with her little spiel. She said Asuka did her a favor by spraying the mist in her face because now she sees clearly. She thought that Asuka was having doubts, and that would explain all the sneak attacks and explain why that Becky had to face her partner tonight in Kyrie Sain instead of her. Which it's like, well, you're not going to face Asuka tonight because you're going to face Asuka this week or this weekend. She said that Asuka may have beaten her last year at the Royal Rumble, but Lynch was ultimately the big winner at WrestleMania, while Asuka then went on to make soup on YouTube. Yeah, made fun of Asuka's YouTube channel. Lynch said that she would teach Asuka what she knows. You can't beat me anymore. And there was a line by Lawler. He was like, "Did she say Asuka makes soup?" Or something like that. I just found it pretty funny. So we had the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch against Kyrie Sain. Lynch was distracted early by Asuka on the outside, so Sain chop blocked her. When Sain re-entered the ring, she distracted the referee, and Asuka went after the leg of Becky. After a commercial break, Asuka watched from the top turnbuckle, literally. Referee just let her sit there. This match is going on, and Asuka's chilling up, perched on the ropes. Like, typically you would think, hey, ref, get her out of there. No. Ref just said, little birdie, sit up there and watch. Even Lawler wondered why this was going on and why Asuka was allowed to basically be in the ring while the match was going on. At one point, Lynch came back with a clothesline and a running forearm, but Sain responded later with a flying forearm of her own. Lynch came back with a reverse DDT and a diving leg drop, which kind of missed, or was kind of missed by the cameras. Lynch then tried a vertical suplex, but Sain reversed it Lynch used a thrust kick and a forearm before knocking Asuka off the turnbuckle. Lynch kicked Sain in the head before applying the disarmor, getting the submission victory. Asuka immediately jumps off the top rope and hits a Shining Wizard to a Becky Lynch. She applied the Asuka lock before knocking Lynch down with a kick to the head. The crowd booed, Asuka posed, and Sain was delighted in her partner's performance. Give me 1 second, guys. So the third hour of the show starts up, and we get a tribute to Rocky Johnson. Crowd gave a standing ovation and a Rocky chant. Lawler had some nice words to say about a man that he's faced multiple times in the past. So Sheriff Schreiber found Asuka and Sain in the back and asked Asuka if this was the type of champion she wanted to be. A champion, a person, a competitor that just attacks people from behind. They yelled in Japanese. Asuka then got really close up into the camera, got really, really serious, and said, Becky is not ready for Asuka. I loved it. Asuka's intensity when she cuts her promos, whether that's in English or Japan or a mix of both, or Japanese, or a mix of both, you don't see many with that type of intensity. And I love it. I just love it. It's a charisma that many lack. So next up, we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match. But before we talk about that, we've got to talk about our sponsor, Strong Style Brand. Strong Style Brand is a pro wrestling inspired clothing brand, apparel brand. It's got everything that you're going to want. They've got hats, shirts, hoodies, shoes, tank tops, and so many more. They're endorsed by some of the top pro wrestlers in the world, like former Impact Wrestling World Champion Sami Callihan and AEW star Britt Baker. Go over there and use our promo code PWUnlimited at checkout, or go to strongstylebrand.com/PWUnlimited today to figure out what you want to get from Strong Style Brand. And with using our checkout code or our link, you will get 10% off of your purchase. Again, Strong Style Brand is a pro wrestling inspired clothing brand that's got everything that you're going to want and more. Check it out today by going to strongstylebrand.com/PWUnlimited or using the code PWUnlimited at checkout to get 10% off of your purchase. Check it out. You ain't going to regret it. So we go into the Raw Tag Team Championship match here. I thought this was a really well-worked 11 and a half or so minute match. Rollins and Murphy hugged before the match started. And you got a big ol' aww from the crowd. I loved it. Early on in the match, a brawl broke out between Rollins and Murphy and the Viking Raiders in the ring, as well as between Samoa Joe and Owens and the AOP at ringside. Joe and Owens fought AOP off through the crowd. Vic Joseph let us know all 6 men were brawling. There's actually 8 guys. But I think, no, yeah, it was 8. 3 on 3. Never mind. It was 8. Yeah. So Ivar made a hot tag and ran wild on both men, which included him dodging a Murphy knee strike by doing a cartwheel. Erick and Ivar then took out both competitors with dives. They gave Murphy the Viking experience, but Rollins broke up the pin. Rollins then gave Erick an enziguri. Then Ivar took out Rollins with a kick of his own. Murphy tried a sunset flip bomb on Ivar, but of course, wasn't a good idea. Rollins helped him out though, and they gave a double team powerbomb for a 2. Crowd chanted, "Let's go Vikings," as Ivar busted through a double clothesline attempt and took both men down with a handspring back elbow. Erick then powerbombed Murphy as Ivar went to the top, but Rollins pushed him off to the outside. Erick chased Rollins away as Murphy distracted the referee. As Murphy did, Rollins gave Erick a curb stomp on the edge of the ring. Murphy then went for the pin, pinned Erick 1, 2, 3, and yes, new Raw Tag Team Champions. I was completely shocked. You build up the Viking Raiders as such dominant forces, only losing like 3 times in the last 6 months. Yeah, that's about right. To drop the titles to Seth and Murphy on a whim like this, Very, very, very odd. But at the same time, it makes the pairing of Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy seem that more powerful, that just more great, because they beat such a dominant team that have beaten many tag teams in the past. I mean, they beat the OC. They beat the Street Profits. They beat Hawkins and Ryder. They beat a number of jobbers. They've beaten so many teams in the past, looked so dominant. So there's a plus and a minus of this. It's kind of like you could have built this up a little better, but at the same time, your new champions come off looking very, very strong because of the team that they beat and how well that team had been, I guess you could say, built up. So in the back, Rollins and Murphy celebrated with the AOP, and Sarah Schreiber interviews them. Rollins basically said that this was only the beginning of their dominance. He's going to be in the Rumble. He's going to win again. And he's going to take over. So I don't watch much SNL. Saturday Night Live. So I don't really know what the whole weekend update really is on that show and how that really goes. But they spoofed it, as they did with the Street Profits the Monday after the weekend update. They basically were at the weekend update set and everything, and there was a laugh track going on about a number of different random-ass jokes. So, among the jokes was Dawkins saying that he hates reboots. He hates that in 2020, we're getting a bunch of reboots like Party of Five and Lizzie McGuire. But the WWE is here every week with 7 hours of new original content. And then it shows a picture of Miz and Morrison together. And Dawkins is all like, I hate reboots. And then they do a wide shot of both men's, and Montez Ford goes, and I think there was an issue with our graphic. And they cut back to the one of just Dawkins, and he slowly looks over at the graphic and goes, change course. I love reboots. They then sent it to their correspondent in Houston, where the Royal Rumble is taking place this week, and it's R-Truth. He was on the field of Minute Maid Park. He said that he's here in Houston. It's Celsius degrees. It's known to be humid. He said some other jokes. They were like, truth. What are you doing? He's like, you told me to talk about Houston. They said, no, we told you to talk from Houston. He goes, oh, okay then. And he just goes on to be R-Truth. It's like, I didn't like this at all. Again, I don't watch SNL. I don't think I've ever actually seen a weekend update. So I don't know how on par with what that is as far as what this was. But to me, and I could be in the minority here, this is death TV. I didn't find any of it funny. I didn't find any of it amusing. I found it as, shit, we need 8 minutes to fill. Oh, hey, let's spoof SNL. We've got some guys that got good comedic timing. So then we got Matt Hardy coming out for a match. And then we realized that his opponent's Erick Rowan, and he's getting killed, which he did in 2 minutes. So during the match, whatever lives inside the cage bit Rowan when he tried to show it to Matt Hardy. Rowan responded by ramming the cage a couple times against the steel steps. Jerry Lawler actually had a good analogy here as far as what could be in the cage and what Erick Rowan reminds him of. I didn't think of this before. He said, Erick Rowan with that cage reminds me of an opponent I've had in the past, Jake the Snake, and his snake that he used to carry around in a bag. And I go, wow, what a great comparison that I never thought about. So King a couple times goes, Vic, you think maybe that could be a snake in there? You think? And I'm like, okay, I doubt it's a snake, but good comparison and analogy. So a few people gasp and then laughed, which is kind of weird. The crowd was very boisterous at times here. Not just boos and cheers. Rowan did end up winning with a claw slam, taking out Matt Hardy. This fucker better be leaving soon. I think so. Contract's up in April. Or March. Hardy didn't really get much of a reaction as, well, most people probably knew that he was jobbing out as soon as they saw it was Erick Rowan. They then recapped the Lana, Lashley, Rusev, Liv Morgan stuff. Shara Shriver interviewed Joe and Owens in the back. She said, what's next for them? Owens said Rollins and Murphy winning the titles was a problem that they wanted to take care of at a later time. But as of right now, they both said that they were going to win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania. Or at least they'd ensure that Seth Rollins didn't. Joe took this opportunity to enter himself in the Rumble as well. He said that he would beat Owens' side when he would be at Owens' side. But when it came to the Rumble, that's every man for themselves. Charlie Caruso then interviews Mojo Rawley, the 24/7 champion. He was quickly interrupted by the Singh brothers. Well, first, Samir Singh, who tried to distract him, as Sunil Singh tried to roll him up, but Rawley bridged up. He slammed both guys and left. Got no reaction. Well, what do you expect? It's 24/7 title. Then we move on to our main event. Remember, if you guys do want to text or call into the show tonight, you can do so by calling or texting 510-906-1341. Again, that's 510-906-1341. So Lana said before the match started, Rusev Day had been canceled. She rambled on for a while before requesting that the crowd thanked them. They didn't. She said that Lashley would dominate Rusev, and she would finally get her hands on that Liv Morgan. Morgan entered with Rusev. She wore black and red gear. Lana wore blue and yellow gear. I don't know why I wrote that down, but I did. Morgan and Lana started the match off. Less than 2 minutes into the match, they took each other down with clotheslines before tagging out. Rusev gave Lashley a suplex. Then Lana distracted him on the apron. He got in her face, but then moved before Lashley could attack. Lashley narrowly avoided punching Lana. Lana smacked Rusev. Then Lashley gave him a Dominator before Liv Morgan broke up the pin. And Jerry Lawler said, the men are not supposed to touch the women are not supposed to touch the men. Would there be any, reprimanding of Lana slapping Rusev? And I thought, it's a good thought. Jerry Lawler, some good thoughts here tonight. Liv Morgan then gave Lashley an enziguri. Rusev kicked him in the head. Before Rusev could capitalize, though, Lana grabbed him by the leg. This allowed Lashley to hit a spear and pick up the victory, pinning Rusev. And that was it. A 3.5-minute main event. They go off the air, and that was it. Now, I know the big looming question, what happened to that extra half hour? I don't know. Over the weekend, well, actually yesterday, I noticed that the show was listed on the USA Network website as going 34 minutes extra. I then checked my Comcast. It said 34 minutes extra. Called up my brother, said, hey, you got Dish Network. Can you check something for me? He checked it. Dish Network said 34 minutes extra. I don't know what happened. Miscommunication, because it's just weird that so many different cable outlets were told, hey, adjust. Because it's not the norm anymore for an overrun, especially a 34-minute overrun. So, see, Josh Vasquez in the chat says mine said 34 minutes as well. It was very weird that was a thing. But, we'll see what that goes. But with that, now I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys thought of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Take some calls here. You can do so by calling in to 510-906-1341. Again, you can call in to 510-906-1341. Do have a couple text messages to read while we wait for your calls to come in. This person just says, yeah, that extra half hour went to Ms. and Mrs. Yeah, I know. This person asks, is the Rusev-Alana storyline done now that Bobby has beaten him 3 times? I sure hope so, but the Liv Morgan stuff's so new that I don't have much faith in that. But let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on? Caller going once.
Hey, what's up, Tim?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Tim? Oh, pretty good. I haven't heard from you in a while. You don't take calls much anymore. Hey, I just want to give you my quick opinion on Raw. I did not like it as much as you did. I didn't like it as much as you did. I'm not gonna lie. I thought there was some good I thought there were some good matches, but my biggest complaint is having a 3.5-minute main event, like you just talked about. I think they should switch the tag team championship match to last, and did that mixed tag match in the spot of the Raw tag team title match. What's your opinion on that?
I agree. I think what should have happened, and I thought about this, and I should have mentioned it because I thought about it earlier. I thought the main event should have been that tag title match, and then when we saw Rollins, Murphy, and AOP all up on the stage posing. When that was going on, Sarah Shriver or Charlie Caruso, whoever, should have walked out and said, Seth, you just won the tag titles. What does this mean? Then he could do his whole, I'm in the Rumble thing. We're going to take over. He looks right into the camera, and the show goes off the air with that. I think that would have been a more impactful finish to the show, kind of like a, holy crap, what did we just see? And then the show's over kind of thing. But I guess at the same time, with the quote-unquote scripting of what Joe and Owens had to say later about, we'll take care of them being the new champions later, I guess it had to have not been in the main event. I don't know. I think it should have been the main event as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. That I just still think that the crap main event could have been overwritten by the stupid little backstage promos. Not that they were bad. Don't get me wrong at all.
Right. Especially since that main event went literally 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, actually, I was actually kind of interested in that match. Like, it started to pick up real fast and ended. I'm like, oh crap! Lana didn't do bad.
Very true.
She stepped it up a little bit, and I'm like, oh shit, this is a good match. And then, it ended. I'm like, really? What happened to that 34-minute overrun? So
exactly.
No, and as far as the whole, I love the fact that they're doing something with Buddy Murphy. I couldn't have suggested a better transition. He's sitting there depressed. I know I'm talking about last week now, but he's sitting there depressed, because something, and then all of a sudden, he happened to be there in the position of Seth Rollins. Now he's a champion. That was a smooth transition to get out of the Buddy or the Aleister Black storyline. And then I heard a lot of people beat him before the Viking Raiders joined. Like, Aleister Black could join with Joe and Kevin Owens. I'm like, that wouldn't be bad, but Aleister Black's already won 3 times, so just end it. So,
exactly. I agree with that.
And then as far as them winning, and I'm talking a lot, I got some things to say. As far as them winning the Raw Tag Team Championship, I thought it was good because eventually, they would have had to lose.
Right.
And then I don't want them to lose to Hawkins and Ryder or something. I think Seth Rollins being dominant and predominantly featured on the show, it could build up that group, and then it also could, build up, the Viking experience too.
Exactly. And I think you're on the same wavelength as, like I said earlier, it was kind of a random way for them to drop the titles, but at the same time, because they were such dominant champions, it almost makes Rollins and Murphy look that much more powerful together.
Exactly. I really am excited to see what they can do. I'm really happy because I've always liked Buddy Murphy, and I don't watch a lot of Cruiserweight 205 Live, but when I did, I really, really enjoyed seeing his matches, and I thought his promos are great. But
yeah.
But who do you think is going to win the Royal Rumble this Sunday? This is the first year I can honestly say that don't know who's going to win. I mean, I think, I've been in wrestling for about 10 years now. I think I'm maybe like 8 for 10 in predicting. This is the first year that I'm having trouble with predicting it.
I had been saying Kevin Owens, but I'm kind of wavering off that ever so slightly now. It's like, with the stuff that Kevin Owens has been doing now, it's just like, maybe that's not the route they're going. Because they were pushing him so hard before. It's like, okay, they're pushing this guy. He was kind of earlier in December and early January. I felt like he was getting the same kind of push that Rollins got before he won the Rumble last year. But now it's just kind of all muddied in this whole Seth Rollins storyline to where it's like he's not really getting the same kind of push anymore because Rollins was getting a lot of good victories where Owens is in a good predominant storyline, but he's just getting beat by Rollins and his gang. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. And I know people may not want to hear this, but I think we go Roman Reigns versus The Fiend at WrestleMania. I think that's the new way
I
that I'm
think
kind of leaning.
I think that'd be good, and that would be, like I just said, another smooth transition to end the Corbin, Roman Reigns feud. I think that would
Oh,
be,
yes, please.
yeah, no kidding. But no, I'm leaning towards I mean, I have to say it. I think Brock Lesnar might have a shot at winning. If he doesn't win, he'll definitely go to the Final Four. There's no
I can
doubt in
see
my
that
mind.
happening.
There's no doubt in my mind that he gets tossed out in like the 12th entrant or whatever. Like he's not gonna get tossed out.
Oh, no.
And
He's
I
going to
feel
be
like,
there for a very long time.
and I feel like whoever tosses him out will probably get their ass handed to him either at Raw or WrestleMania. So. I mean, so I think it's interesting that they're doing. I know a lot of people, hate on the idea of Brock being in the Royal Rumble, and to me, it made no sense either. And I guess in a way, it still doesn't make sense. But I guess I'm glad because it spikes in interest. I'm always interested in a Brock Lesnar match. I'm interested in the Brock Lesnar match. No matter when he's on my screen, I watch. So even though I know he's gonna win, I just watch. So. Have a good one, Tim. I'm going to let you get to other callers. Can't wait for the Rumble Sunday. I'll be listening to your podcast.
Awesome. Thanks for the call, and have a great night.
Yep, you too.
All right. And here's the thing with that. He's talking about, Brock Lesnar being in the Rumble. Who can eliminate Brock? Brock and Mick to the Final Four. You got to remember, we've got a Saudi show coming in February. And Cain Velasquez, over this past week, was doing press for WWE in the UK and basically just said, oh yeah, I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble. What if Cain Velasquez eliminates Brock Lesnar and then we get another Cain-Brock match in Saudi? Not Cain-Brock at Mania, but Cain-Brock in Saudi. What if that is what happens? Be interesting to see, but let's take another call. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
How you doing, Tim?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Good. So, did you realize I was watching the show when they were saying Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins were going to face the Viking Raiders? I feel like AOP was like, they wasn't really with it.
I don't think I noticed that really.
Yeah, because I was like, did anybody notice that? Because how Akam was like, looked at his brother and was like, his buddy, and he was like, what?
I can see that, though. It's like, hey, we're the tag team. You guys are just two random guys. I can see that. I didn't notice it, though, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, and have a great night.
All right, you too.
I'll have to go back and check that. I'll see if there did look to be some sort of a, like, hey, why aren't we getting the shots instead of them? Kind of thing. Why are they getting the tag title shots instead of us? We're the actual established tag team here. They're just two guys that are getting put together randomly tonight. But it was an interesting show. Like I said, it had its ups, especially with that ladder match, the tag title match, the Orton McIntyre match before the run-in was good. Then it had some lows, like the main event and that SNL skit. But let's take another call as we try to take this call here. And caller, you're on the air. What's going on? Caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Tim. How's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. So, this is actually kind of confusing to me because what do you think will be the plan for Aleister Black at WrestleMania?
I said it earlier. I have no clue what they're doing with him. I know Paul Heyman really likes him. And so I know Paul Heyman wants to keep him looking good on television, whether that's with picking up a bunch of wins over Buddy Murphy, whether that's just getting a bunch of quick jobber wins. As far as what that can mean for Mania, I honestly don't know. I mean, depending on who's the U.S. champion, and maybe he can challenge for that. Maybe they do like a multi-man U.S. title match. As of right now, I couldn't even fathom to start to guess, to be completely 100% honest.
I really want to see Aleister Black versus Drew McIntyre in a rivalry match at WrestleMania because I know those two guys can have a really good match with each other.
That would be fun. If built the right way, it would work. But the interesting thing with it, though, is who's the babyface, who's the heel. They're kind of both the babyfaces right now.
I can see Aleister Black being the babyface, and Drew McIntyre can issue a challenge to him.
Yeah.
Because Aleister Black is always being someone pick a fight with me, and Drew McIntyre can just pick a fight with him.
Right. It's just the weird thing with that is McIntyre's whole thing is that he's not looking for random. Well, I don't know, because it's weird. Because at times he talks about how he doesn't want random fights. He wants to be pushed towards the main event and be the top guy. But then he enters into these random things with Randy Orton and stuff. So Drew McIntyre's another one that's a mystery to me. What are they doing with him? They're making him look strong, but there's no real direction as far as his story does go.
Yeah. And one more thing.
Go for it.
I actually saw on one of your recent Raw reviews about you saying maybe at Mania they can do Andrade versus Rey in a mask versus hair match.
Right.
And if Rey wins and Andrade gets his hair cut, do you think he'll just wear a luchador mask until his hair grows back?
No, he'll just go with shorter hair. I mean,
they did that in the past, though. With CM Punk when Rey
they've
cut
done
his
it in
hair.
the past, but you don't need to bring back what you've done in the past. And Andrade's had short hair so many times in his past that he's not. And from what I'm trying to say is, I don't think he himself would care to be on TV with real short buzzed hair, and the character I don't think would care either. But you got to look. Over the last year, he's really been growing that hair out pretty long, not cutting it at all. So there's got to be a reason.
All right. Well, that's all I got to say, and have a great night.
All right, thanks for the call, and have a great night. But with that, got another text message here. Let me load that one up. And this one does say, with Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy now being the Raw Tag Team Champions, do you think the Viking Raiders will get an automatic rematch, or do you think somebody else will be the first to challenge them, like Owens and Joe? It's a good question. Because Owens and Joe said that, them winning the titles is a problem that we'll have to take care of later. We got the Rumble first. So it did lead me to believe that there is a possibility of Joe and Owens challenging Rollins and Murphy for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Whether that's on a Monday Night Raw, whether that's on a Monday Night Raw, the Saudi show, Elimination Chamber, or Mania, we'll have to wait and see. But let's take this one final call. If it wants to go, because sometimes it doesn't want to go. And I think it just froze. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on? I don't think it's wanting to go. Oh, nope. Nah. Didn't want to take that call for some reason. I don't know what happened there. I clicked answer the call. It didn't take the call. I guess that's a sign to wrap things up. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who did join me here live to talk about tonight's Monday Night Raw, the final Monday Night Raw before this coming Sunday's at WrestleMania. I also want to thank everybody who watches later right here on YouTube and listens on podcast services all around the world like iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and so many more. We will be live tomorrow. Me and Nick got something new planned for you guys. We kind of teased a change today. Make sure to join us here tomorrow night around the same time for our Tuesday night podcast. Not going to say too much. We'll also be live again Wednesday for the AEW review, where they'll be on the boat, the Chris Jericho Cruise. Also, a little news snippet for you. Chris Jericho did announce today that the Cruise will be back in 2021. It will be taking place from February 1st to February 5th next year. So with that, have a good night, and we'll see you later.